Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Psychic Bella Love. If you are not already subscribed, please do so and hit the like button and leave a comment. It is a free way to support the channel. And if you ever want to book your own private reading with me, you can go to psychicbellalove.com. For the next few days, you can use code BELLA at checkout for 55% off any appointments. It is my birthday month, and you can always keep up with me over on patreon.com/psychicbellalove. That is the only place that I take requests for celebrity video readings. I also uncover all of this stuff about the Illuminati, do daily readings in there about celebrities. I go live every week and it is all uncensored. A lot of the stuff that has been playing out now in the news are things that I exposed or predicted over there years back when we first started. There's like over 7,000 posts in there, and you can join for as little as $3 a month. All that information will be linked in the description box below. So, Titanic Records is going down. I don't know if y'all have seen the news. I know that a lot of it sort of got shuffled under the rug because they conveniently made the announcement that they, laid off, what was it, 600 people, including a bunch of executives over there. Right on the same day that Diddy's indictment, news drops. So, like I told my Patreons, yes, some of these executives, of course, may have been involved in freak offs and things like that. And, they needed to step down to prepare themselves or at least to appease somebody. So that way it's like, okay, I gave up my cushy job, don't out me. But also, it was just the most convenient timing in the world, anyways. Because, guys, let's just be real honest. What company wants the world to know that they had to lay off 600 people because they're not making any money over there, especially when you're a record label? Because at the end of the day, they're all in competition with one another. It's Titanic versus Columbia Records is basically like Walmart versus Target. And when they do want to try to sign an artist that they think is going to help turn things around and bring in some money, and that artist is looking at offers from other labels that are not struggling, who do you think that they are choosing to sign their contract with? Because I know for me, if it's, do you want to go to UMG or Republic that have, these big numbers and they're still doing good? Or do you want to go sign to Atlantic that just had to lay off half the people that work there? I am not choosing the place that just laid everybody off, okay? Because y'all don't got no money and I'm not getting any budgets and I'm probably going to end up getting shelved, and that's horrible for me in my career, right? So they are in trouble and they are expected to announce another round of layoffs either at the end of the year or the very beginning of next year. Carlos's contract has been up because it's been 7 years. They gave her an extension, but that extension option ends in February. And when they do that extension, it's kind of like a first look thing too, like where they are allowed to like entertain offers from other labels, but they can't sign a contract yet. Spirit saying Cardi does not have any other labels lining up offering to sign her if things don't work out with her in Atlantic. So let's get that one out of the way before anybody asks. And just wait. There will be an inevitable announcement around that situation. They do have Rose from Blackpink dropping an album in December. And let me tell you, whatever money that they have allocated to artists' budgets is going to her, because her group's prior success and popularity means that she is a better bet right now versus Carlos, who has not done very well with anything that she has put out in any recent time. So whatever money that Carlos thinks that the new bosses over at Atlantic are going to be throwing her way, it is not going to be there. But let's just shuffle up some cards and see what Spirit has to say about all of this. Also, I find it very interesting because you guys have to remember too, Titanic didn't just to wake up one day and say, let's go sign ourselves somebody that we're going to pen against Nicki and try to use that person to take Nicki Minaj down, and then signed Carlos a week later. This was a thing that was going on for years before her. She's just the one that took the bait and agreed to do it. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because Karma likes to visit in a series of 3, 6, 7, and 9. And that's either days, weeks, months, or years. And I was just like, oh, it's been 9 years since they like started their shit with Nicki. Isn't that interesting? But here we go. And now the newest layoff was Mr. Mike Kaiser, who was spearheading all of the stuff going against Nicki. And if you want to know anything more about Nicki, we read about her over on Patreon because they're still plotting and trying to get her. So that's why we got the $3 Barb's level over there. But I'm not reading on her publicly right now because Spirit said they, as in her enemies, watch these psychic readings, you know, to try to stay a step ahead of her and use it against her so we don't be helping them. So, okay. They're trying, like, this is what's so funny, what was coming through anyways, and then the underlying energy in the cards, like, confirmed it, was trying to, like, the way that I kept seeing it was trying to outrun the Grim Reaper, and then the cards that I pulled up was the Death card, the Chariot, and the Wheel, we're just trying to escape the end of something and desperately trying to turn things around and turn your fortunes around, but the wheel is not working in your favor at this time. Because remember, the Wheel of Fortune, it's always going one way. If you're down, it'll be up again. And if you're up, it eventually will turn down again, you know. And so after all of this, they are in the down cycle of that Wheel of Fortune, but they're trying real hard because the Magician card fell out. But then the Ace of Pentacles fell out right behind it in reverse. So it's like they're trying to do whatever they can to increase their sales and revenue, because obviously you can't run a business without money. But it's not coming in the ways that they're used to. And Spirit is saying time is running out because Karma is paying a visit. Because Spirit's saying, you know, yes, like most egregiously, we are seeing, you know, what they have done to Nicki. But Spirit saying, think about all the other people that didn't have a huge fan base that recognized what was going on, or the artists who weren't as strong as Nikki to speak up and say, hey, this is what's happening, because they were scared or they felt alone or whatever. And so it's like, there are many more victims of this company, people who had their careers stolen from them, people who were signed purposely with the purpose of putting them on the shelf so that they couldn't compete with another artist that the label wanted to promote instead, and just so many shady business tactics. And it's a lot of karma, like Nikki obviously is the most visible of it, but Spirit is saying there's a million Nikkis that they have done this to, just not as big, not as obvious, and not as publicly, right? So because of that, anything that they try to do, even if it seems like it's moving forwards or there is some success, there's something else falling apart. Like, it's like, oh, we fixed the leak in the bathroom, but now the roof caved in. Like, there's always something coming to break down whatever they have built and whatever progress that they think that they're making. Oh, maybe the Rose from Blackpink is doing great and they're like, yay, we're getting revenue from people again. But then Jack Harlow puts out another album and they lose money on it. And it's like, shit. Now we just broke even because we didn't make any money off of him. We lost, and whatever she made is only going to even things out. And it's still not enough to make up for what we don't have. So I have been predicting this over in Patreon for a while, that we will see a big change where Warner and South will probably end up being bought out. And Warner is the parent company of Atlantic. And whichever conglomerate buys them will do reorganizing, and instead of it being two separate record labels where it's Warner and Atlantic, they'll combine them and it'll probably be like Atlantic Warner or something like that. Cut off drop a bunch of the artists and only keep who really is truly most profitable. They'll keep the Lizzos and people like that around, but somebody like Carlos that's not putting out albums and isn't going on a tour is not going to be still signed to that label. And this is all coming next year, Spirit saying, and it's going to be like this weird thing where just all of a sudden we wake up one day and this is being announced. So there's going to be a bunch of artists that do get dropped from both labels because of it. And I've said, unfortunately, Sweetie will probably be one of those people too. But yeah, I mean, things are really bad over there and they're going to continue to get worse. And the whole reasoning that's coming up behind it is being so overly focused on trying to do bad that they weren't looking at how they could do good, in the sense. Like, we were so focused on trying to like take out all these other people, or investing money that didn't make sense into people that they thought were some sort of, weapon that they were going to use against others, and obviously didn't recoup from it, that they just kept doubling down on it and being so sunk into that mindset that they didn't realize the whole ship was about to sink around them. So, like Spirit saying, extremely poor management, being caught up in egos and allowing that to drive everything that was happening there. So, Spirit, can you tell me what is going to happen with Cardi B and her relationship with them? Thank you. And listen, all those, oh, my bosses sent me all this Hermes and blah, 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 like that she was doing, which was obviously baby presents. Um, it's tax write-offs first and foremost. Like, these companies have corporate accounts, with different designers and jewelers and even dealerships. And so then, they just have the executive assistant call over to Mercedes or Hermes or Rolex or wherever and be like, can you send over blah, 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 to XYZ artist? And guess what? If you've watched the Lou Pearlman documentaries, if you've listened to the things that people that used to be signed to Diddy have said, those scammy ass labels and managers will give you those expensive gifts, use it as a tax write-off on their end, and then add it onto your receivables and what you need to recoup for them. So basically they tack it onto your back end, and so you ended up paying for that purse that you thought was a present from the label. That's why NSYNC and Backstreet Boys didn't have a damn dime to their name after having platinum records and sold out tours, because Lou Pearlman was charging them for every single post-it note and pencil that he ever used to even take a message or write anything down about them. So, and there was a bunch of stories about Diddy did that to some artists that he had on Bad Boy back in the day, that like they all got it. I think it was Beamers. It was either Beamers or Benz's. And they were all excited. And he was like, this is what the life is like over here. And was trying to hype it up like, oh, yeah, like, this is how it is when you're with Bad Boy. We take care of you. They all, then when it was time to get paid, it was like, what the hell is this? He took the money that was spent on the cars out of their checks that they were supposed to be getting for the work that they were doing. And I think some of them were leases too. It was like basically they paid for their own car, and I think a few of those cars ended up getting repoed too. So they've been doing this shit for years in the industry to these people. That's why I would never want any of these damn presents. If I was an artist, you want to give me an Hermes bag? Okay, just send me a $30,000 cash app. How about that instead? Whatever you were going to spend on that purse, that car, whatever, send it to me. Send me a check. And I'll go buy a piece of property or a business or something, but do not give me no damn purse that I got to pay for myself later. Also, if you guys missed it, Perez Hilton exposed the whole entire industry inadvertently, and a lot of people caught on. It's on his Instagram pages. He was doing it in reference to ASAP Dusty telling everybody that he was sick and he couldn't play the iHeart Festival, but then being seen in Paris Fashion Week at all the runway shows the same exact day that he said he was too sick to perform at the festival. And Perez Hilton was saying, well, the reason why somebody would want to go to a fashion show versus one of those festivals is because you get paid to go to the shows, versus when you do radio festivals. He said basically, unless you're like Beyonce or somebody like that, that there's no way in absolute hell that you're even walking near that damn building if there's not a check in your hands, much less getting up there and performing. People don't get paid for radio festivals, according to him. It is what I think he said, a handshake favor type of a deal to keep a good relationship with the radio station, aka it's part of the radio payola package. We will play your songs on the radio if you perform at the Hot 97 or iHeart or whichever festival is going on this year that we want you at. So when people sit there and want to act like Carlos's festivals were a tour, or act like she got paid so much. I'm like, did she really? Or was she working off some of that payola and performing for free? Just saying. And if you are, and again, if you're an upcoming artist, like literally didn't even release your first album yet or anything, those are a great way for you to go out there and get people to know who you are and establish a fan base and all of that. But if you are somebody whose first album was so amazing that it went diamonds, and Obama and Oprah supposedly just loved your album and were listening to it, shouldn't you be on a sold out tour getting paid millions of dollars for each show every night instead of performing for free at radio festivals? Because I don't know any other artist that supposedly had like such a great breakout like her that had to perform for free. Just saying. So let's see what Spirit and the Cards have to say about Carlos's relationship with Titanic Records going forwards. I also said on socials too that if Cardi B and Offset want to keep using their marriage as, a rollout for his album and whatever the hell she thinks that she's doing, just go on Judge Judy. I'm serious. Let Judge Judy give you guys your divorce. Because people will watch it. And regardless of whose side that they're on, even if they don't care about either side, people will watch it for the entertainment value, to see Judge Judy yell at them, to see whose side she picks, to see what are they going to say about each other. I mean, if you really want to make it spicy, Off-Cheat can say that he's not sure the kids are his, and then they can bring Maury in to do a DNA test. But like, if you're going to really like go all there to like use your marriage and the inevitable disaster that it was to promote music that nobody asked for or cared about, go all the way fucking out. Burn it to the motherfucking ground. Because people do not want another fake divorce 6 months from now. So just do it, for God's sakes, and be done with it. And you want to play the shenanigans? Go all in on the shenanigans. But fighting on Twitter is boring. We've seen this happen 8,000 times, and then they just get back together and she gets pregnant again. I mean, this time I feel like they're really actually going to end up getting divorced, but all of the shenanigans and the screaming and all of this stuff, like, that's just stunts. So, woo, child. Okay, because we asked about the relationship. Whoo. Oh my goodness, is this a disaster? You got every damn bad card that you could get. So, this is the thing that's funny, is the underlying energy is the Three of Swords, Two of Swords, and the Chariot card. And it's like Spirit is saying it's about, again, people who didn't see the bigger picture conspiring together and then being forced out because it blew up in their face. They see Carlos, like when I said, how do they see her? The position that her personal card comes up in this poll, the Tower card. And this is her new bosses. This is where we're at with Titanic in this current energy. They see her as the Tower card. Spirit is saying they are thinking of her in the context of, this was a humongous financial mistake and such a disaster that they signed this girl in the first place, invested so much money in her, and went so hard with her Because Spirit's saying the person that is tasked with kind of trying to clean all this mess up is thinking like, you could have signed 7 other people with this damn budget that you were using on this girl, that, you know, even if all 7 of them didn't blow up, at least 1 or 2 of them would have, and you would have at least profited instead of this. So we have the death card coming up as the final outcome here. And Spirit's saying it's about severing that relationship. The relationship ends. The contract is over. They're done with her because she has done nothing except cost them money. Like Spirit keeps saying, they see her as a money pit. Whatever she is being told right now is outright lies to pacify her, while they just let her contract run out and figure out how they're going to safely sever ties and not have to let it turn into some gigantic, you know, disaster, because they already know. Spirit saying they don't really give a shit about Cardi and like her having to come out here and humble herself and be embarrassed that like she got dropped. Like, they're not concerned about that, but they know this is more inevitable blowback on them as a label when the news inevitably hits that she no longer works there. And so Spirit saying that it's like they all got a headache trying to figure out how are we gonna PR this situation into a positive. Do not be surprised if the inevitable announcement that comes is that Carlos claiming that she decided that she was going to end her contract, because we all know that's allowed. You know, Carlos, she doesn't care if it's a reality or if people can prove it's true or not. She just says whatever the fuck she wants, right? So they, you know, Carlos is going to come out and say some shit about how she like didn't want to be there anymore, and oh, they weren't letting her just be as creative as she wanted to, and she wants to be with her kids now, and she has so much money that it doesn't matter, and she's just going to do whatever the hell she wants now. And she doesn't have money. If y'all been here for a while, I've been telling you, her and Off Cheat are broke as shit. She's just going to obviously need an excuse that makes her look good, and Spirit saying they're not going to come out and, you know, be like, no, we dropped you because you suck, you know, and like fight with her. They're just going to be like, whatever, go tell people whatever the hell you want. Like, we don't even care. They're just trying to minimize how bad it looks for them as a label. That's it. But we will hear something. Spirit is saying early next year, we will hear that there's no longer a relationship between them. And again, they're just lying to her and being like, oh yeah, you know what? We think next year would be a great time for your album to drop. They might let her drop a single just to shut her up. And just Spirit is saying too, so that way if she did try to challenge anything, like, oh, you guys didn't let me release, then it's like, no, we did, honey, and you just never did anything when you did drop, but we never stood in your way. So this relationship, though, is definitely done. They're just biding their time for the right time to make it official and make that announcement. Like, you don't want to break up with your girlfriend when her grandma just died, so you have to wait a week. Like that energy right now. So let's see. Spirit, what else do we have? Thank you. Wouldn't it be funny if Scooter Braun bought Warner? He's been going around buying up all those labels for those venture capital firms that he works with. So I would not be surprised if it doesn't end up being, even if it isn't Scooter, I keep feeling like, it's going to be VCs that buy Warner. And listen, they can buy Warner Music Division and not own Warner Broadcasting, which covers TV and movies. So, because they are, even though they're under the same company, they are allowed to break off the little branches and sell them off if they need to. So, although Warner just in all of its every single offering that they have, whether it is TV, movies, whatever, they are just suffering all the way across the board. So, but and Spirit saying we're going to hear about some other labels and ones we expect, of course, but like RCA that are also going to be going through a very similar thing where they see their numbers drop so much that they also have to do a big house cleaning and get rid of people that, not just executives, but artists too, that aren't bringing in anything. But there's also going to be some labels that I think it's going to come as a big surprise because people assume that they're doing really good, like Sony or somebody of that magnitude, where we're all of a sudden going to hear like, oh my God, they laid off a bunch of people and they dropped a bunch of artists, and people are really going to be like, oh my God, the music industry is like falling apart. Like even Sony is like going through it. So it's definitely a sign of the times, because I think at the end of the day, as in a few years from now, it's probably going to be two labels that own everything. And everybody is just stuck under those two. It's like you're either with, UMG or with whoever else is like risen up to be their direct competition. And maybe, there are a bunch of little micro labels underneath or whatever, but they will be the two main big names that like hold all of the business contracts and all the publishing and all the artist catalogs and all of that. We're going to see more big name people too associated with Atlantic Walkaway. Spirit's even saying some of the people who have been put in place in the interim, like, oh, we got rid of Julie Greenwald, so you got a promotion and you get her job, or whoever is replacing Mike Kaiser, those types of people. There's going to be a swift, like, turnaround on them, too. Some of them immediately get released because they're not able to fix things fast enough as far as, the label itself is concerned. Others, I feel like they see it as this is an impossible thing to clean up, and I don't want my career to go up in flames because no matter what I do, it will not be good enough to fix the disaster that has been, already going on for years before I even got here. So yeah, it's definitely things are folding. Things are falling apart. It's just going to continue to get worse. And also, Spirit is saying expect that in all of the midst of all of the chaos that will be continuing and ensuing over the next year and a half, as they literally fight and fight and fight to try to clean this mess up, there will be people who will obviously be disgruntled that will expose a lot of things that went on behind the scenes there. Some of them may have to anonymously, share their side of stuff because of confidentiality agreements that they had to sign. But Spirit is saying people will be coming out of the woodwork and being like, guess what? And sending things into bloggers like, here, I used to work there and I can't identify myself, but I want this to get out there. Did you know that only 3 people actually ever really paid for this song, but they used so much payola and lied, and then all of a sudden that person had a #1 the next week? Like, those types of real dirty things are going to come out, and Spirit is saying there is going to be a lot exposed about the way that they were plotting against Nicki and other artists. So we will hear about some of the other artists that people never guessed that Atlantic had an issue with and was trying to do the same shit to them too. Like, I keep getting, oh my God, it's going to be some crazy thing too. Like, oh, they were desperately trying to prop somebody up to compete with a pop star and try to start a hate train against them and prop up whoever they wanted as their new like queen pop girl, and that person kind of never really took off, but they were really trying to start some shit behind the scenes and get Sabrina Carpenter out of here, or whoever it was that they decided that they didn't like. Spirit says it's gonna be people we never guessed and very shocking, and like, oh, so this is just what they be doing over there. Damn. So listen, I always say this: Nicki and Kanye are never wrong. They're just too early for people. They tell you shit, and then 2 years later, 3 years later, everything starts coming out, and then everybody's like, oh my God, Nicki was right, Kanye was right. And then the next time they tell you some real shit, everybody loses their minds, and the whole cycle starts all over again, right? And then it takes somebody else to get the Kanye treatment or the Nicki treatment for the GP to then be like, oh yeah, you know what? They are bad people. And then whoever got the shit into the stick this time is the one that's getting all the sympathy. People just acknowledge, oh yeah, Kanye and Nicki went through that. Oh my God, poor Lady Gaga or whoever it is, and then focus on that person. And it's just wash, rinse, repeat with them. I can't wait for the day when people actually are like, we were always fucking wrong and we need to apologize to them and stop doing this to them and take them seriously next time they speak out. So, anyways, guys, I am gonna go. I love you so much. If you have not already, make sure you have subscribed, hit the like button, and if you want your own personal private reading or to join us on Patreon, that information will be linked in the description box below. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.